Reciprocals. I know that elementary teachers have talked about the word reciprocals, and it's just a way to remind us that we're flipping a fraction. We're taking any fraction that we normally have. If I have 1/8, and if I want to take the reciprocal of it, it's going to turn into 8/1. All we're doing is we're reversing the numerator and the denominator. That's pretty much it. That's what a reciprocal is. So if we have a number that's a whole number that's given to us, like the number 5, first of all, how do we make that a fraction? Well, we make any number into a fraction by putting 1 underneath it. And then if I want to take the reciprocal of that number, all I need to do is reverse the numerator and the denominator in opposite places. So the 1 goes up top and the 5 goes on the bottom. So the reciprocal of 5 is 1/5. Pretty simple, right? Let's see where we use reciprocals. Okay, these are 2 examples this year that we're going to use reciprocals, and one of them is dividing fractions. Well, in order to divide fractions, we change it back into multiplication. And to change it back into multiplication, we're going to keep the first fraction staying exactly the same. We're going to change the division sign to multiplication. And then we're going to take the reciprocal of 1/4. So the reciprocal of 1/4 would be taking the 1 and putting it as the denominator, and taking the 4 and putting it as the numerator. Now I can go ahead and solve this division problem that we've now switched to multiplication. In order to multiply these numbers, I just multiply straight across. 2 times 4. That's going to give me 8 for my numerator, and 3 times 1 is 3 for my denominator. Now, this goes back to our rules for fractions, which we've already learned. The 3, or the denominator, tells me how many pieces make one whole. So for every 3 pieces, I'm able to make one whole. Well, I have 8 pieces, and that means I can make 2 wholes, and there would be 2 pieces left over out of 3 that I would need in order to make a whole. Let's take a look at the second example. When we have negative exponents, that's when we can use the reciprocal in order to make them positive exponents. We have to go back to understanding, how do I make a fraction? Well, we can make any number into a fraction by putting a 1 underneath it. So now that it's a fraction, we can take the reciprocal of it. And that means we just need to flip it. The denominator is now going to become the numerator, and the numerator is now going to become the denominator, but there's a catch. The exponent was a negative exponent, and now it's going to become positive. When we take the reciprocal, the exponent will change to the opposite of what it started out as. What if we were given a fraction to begin with, and it had a negative exponent in the denominator? How could we make that positive? Well, again, take the reciprocal. When we flip this fraction, the numerator becomes the denominator, and the denominator becomes the numerator, but where's the catch? It was a negative exponent, and now it's going to become positive. So 6 to the 3rd power over 1, we know that that's just the same thing as 6 to the 3rd power. Anything over 1 is just the numerator. Alright, let's see if what happens if we started with a positive exponent and for some reason we wanted to make it negative. If I start with 1 over 8 to the 4th, and for some reason I want to make this exponent negative, I've got to take the reciprocal of the fraction. I want to get rid of the fraction. What does this look like when it's not a fraction? Well, the numerator becomes the denominator becomes the numerator, but we've got a catch. Once again, we started out with a positive exponent this time, and so now it's going to be a negative exponent. And we know that anything over 1 is going to be the numerator, so this is going to be 8 to the negative 4th power. Now you know more about reciprocals, and I think you're going to have some success with them now.